Welcome to another video. Today's video I'm gonna be working on the Challenger again, getting the shifter installed and some other things. Stay tuned.
Music bed.
I have my shifter cable here, which I showed in the last video. I'm just cleaning up some of the old kind of dirt and oil that was on it. It's pretty much all set, and I got the car on jack stand so I can go under here the transmission and I need to find the bolts that are gonna fit to get this thing mounted on here. So I didn't lift it up too much, but I think you can see in the camera here there's two kind of like studs here that on the transmission here on the side, and there's two bolt holes here. So I found a screw or a bolt that I thought maybe would fit. This might not be the right thread, so I'll have to check, find two small bolts that fit here, and this is where that shifter bracket bolts, and then the nut that goes right in here, which man, I thought I got all this when I went to the salvage yard, but I don't remember where I put them, so I'll have to find the nut that would fit on here, and so this will be bolted in here, and then the shifter is just gonna come back, and I drilled a hole over here on the side and just go around. So that's pretty much all I have to do here at this time. I am gonna, from what I was kind of looking, I'm gonna take these headers off later on, maybe once I get the car running, but I do have about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches here, and so I'm probably going to cut these somewhere, all 4 tubes, and really what I want to do is just pull the exhaust, you know, the header up, maybe even angle it in just a little bit, but I do want to probably about 2 inches up, because there's clearance here on the cross member, but right now there's only about I don't know, I would say 3 inches off the floor here on the headers, and which, I mean, no big deal. I'd rather hit the headers, but I can go up about 3 inches and it'll be about flush with the transmission, which that would be okay. They're pretty low. I don't want them to be hitting, you know, speed bumps, things like that. And I thought of just leaving them, but it's just not gonna work. The way it's it's just too low. So eventually I'm gonna take these off again, and they shouldn't be too bad though. I had them on and off a bunch of times, so just cutting them back here somewhere where I can actually get a weld all the way around. It's gonna be a little bit harder, but I think at the end of the day that's gonna make it a lot nicer. So anyways, I'm gonna find a couple bolts that bolt to the transmission here, get the shifter cable bolted on, and then we'll move to the inside to weld the brackets and finish that side. Went ahead and mounted the shifter, so got some bolts that would fit and a nut here, and then have the shifter to this hole that I drilled. I'm probably gonna use this factory bracket to hold it right here to this cross member. I'll just do a self-tapping screw right here. But I just gotta wait till it's all mounted and see if I, you know, kind of want to do that, or maybe I'll bend the bracket a little bit if it needs to be a little bit straighter like this. I just have to bend this bracket a little bit and still bolt it here, but pull the cable away. So I'll wait till it's mounted inside and see where I for sure want that. I also, just in case, I need to drill another hole and, you know, put it in a little bit farther forward, so that way I can mount it where I want the shifter. So I'm gonna go inside, figure out the shifter, and bolt on that center console so I can get that all mounted. I went ahead here inside and got the shifter pretty much where I want it here. With the center console, that's where it's gonna fit good. I went ahead and cut this bottom piece off because it was sticking out quite a bit more, and it was kind of just a cover. Because this on the Mustang, it goes under the car, so you want it to be covered. Here it's going to be inside, so nothing's going to get to it, dirt or anything. So I just got it that way. It went down a little bit, and that gave me you know, just a little bit lower. And then I just got these pieces of metal, so I'm going to weld this one here on this end, and then I'm going to weld this one on the other end. That way it gives me a point to bolt the shifter down. And once I get those welded, I'm probably gonna box it in here a little bit to make it stronger. Same on the front. On the front, I may go down to the bottom here just to support it from moving. Again, this is just to hold the shifter, as long as there's not, I mean, you want it to be held in place, but it's not, you know, like a manual where you're moving the whole thing or anything like that. You just put it in the gear, and you know, if you put it on first, second to drive, you push it, very easily goes into the next gear. So that should be pretty good. I'm gonna weld this or tack this on there, and then I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. The cable should be good here. I'm just gonna you know, it's gonna bend a little bit, but that's okay. It's gonna tuck in underneath the console here too anyways, so that should work just fine. Okay, so the brackets are all made. I just have to get some paint them. I am not gonna put these bolts that were factory on there because I would have to find a way to put these in there, so I'm just doing some self-tapping screws for now. I also mounted the bracket for the center console, both of these. I do still have to paint over it, but this is gonna go right in here. I'm just gonna bolt it down, attach the cable to it, and this should be pretty much ready to go. I am gonna put a grommet in here, which I brought with me. It's somewhere in here. I'm gonna put a rubber grommet, just that way if this does move, it doesn't cut through the cable. It protects it. Eventually I'm gonna put the sound deadening material in here, so that will cover everything, but for now this is all set. This should be, you know, into the shift, pretty good. Neutral, reverse, parking. Once I connect the cable, I will go and finish just tightening up the cable on the bottom, and then we'll be all set, and I'll move over to the brakes. All right, so it's all set in here. I don't have this bolted down. I just have it kind of sitting there, but transmission shifter is bolted on, so we got reverse, neutral, drive, 2, 1. This is a little bit bent here, you know, the loop, but it's still good. I could probably make the hole a little bit further back, like here, and it'll make it so that it's right at the corner. I might do that, just drill the hole here and move it down, but you know, there's 1, 2, drive, neutral, park, all that. So like I said, I think I'm gonna drill a hole right here, and that way it's right at the loop. So I'll do that probably here in a little bit, and then that's the grommet I put in there, but I can move it over here. So that is all set. Now I'm gonna move over to the brakes. All right, so I got the booster pretty much on there. I just need to tighten it up, but like I said, it fits really good. There is very little, but there is room here between the engine and the booster, and I can still I can pull it up. There's slots on the bracket that I can actually pull it upwards just a little bit, but here it is gonna clear, and then the master cylinder is gonna go here, which again it is gonna clear here. This is the line here for the back, so this one I'm just gonna do a turn to hook it up here on the back, and then this one is for the driver's side here, which same thing, I'm just gonna make it go around and turn. It's gonna be kind of a tight radius, but this line is not too bad to turn it. So I was able to find some bolts. I just drilled the holes just slightly bigger than what they were to take those thicker bolts. And then I did change that rod that it came with the longer one, that way the brake pedal is higher up. But the one that was under was the medium, so there's a shorter one or a longer one. I went with the long one. For now, I can always go back and change it, so not too bad. What I'm gonna do now is just get this master cylinder kind of mocked up in there, and then pretty much just I'm probably gonna start bending the lines, putting the ends on here as well. I did put the end here on this back line. This is the one that's gonna go back there, and I do have to bend it a little bit back, so it's gonna be right in here. But now that I have this in there, I know how to go, so I'm gonna do that as well. So I usually keep a good amount of brake fluid around, you know, just from doing brakes and things like that. This is pretty new stuff. If your brake fluid has been sitting around for a long time, I would say don't use it, because this stuff tends to absorb moisture. And if it's got some moisture in there, then you know your brakes aren't going to work as good. That's why you're supposed to flush your brakes, right? You know, get your brake fluid flushed. So you go to like one of those quick oil change places, they always tell you, hey, your brake fluid is old, it needs to be flushed, you know, and most people say, oh, that's ridiculous, you just want to charge me money, whatever. But you know, the fact of the matter is you should flush your brake fluid. And now, I mean, I've seen vehicles with a couple 100,000 miles that they never done the fluid or flushed it. You know, I don't think you need to do that at like 40, 50,000. I would say around 100,000 probably. That's around usually when you have to do brakes on a new vehicle, close to 100,000 miles. Most vehicles last that long, some of them not as much. But you know, once you're doing, like, let's say you do front brakes, take the time to really just bleed at least the front reservoir, right? While you're doing that. And then, you know, when you do the back, and that's gonna pretty much flush all the old fluid out. And you can tell when you start flushing it, it looks kind of old, really dark. The new stuff, it's pretty clear. So you can see this already started pushing out. So the first few times, and this is gonna be a little bit hard, so that's why I put this block of wood. I put a towel so I don't mess up my freshly painted wall here, but it's gonna be hard. If you have a vise where it's somewhere strong, you can put this in the vise, that way it holds it. I usually just put it against, you know, something here like my wall, but you're gonna push slowly, and you can see all the bubbles coming out, especially here on the back part. And what happens is it pushes all the air that's in there out, you know, the bubbles come out, and then it pulls fluid. That's why we have the hoses in here all the way in, without the air. If you install this in your car, you pretty much have to do all this, but man, this takes a while to get all that air out. I mean, you can see there's quite a bunch of air. And it's not just like you do it once and all the air comes out. You have to do it quite a few times. And I'm gonna grab a wrench just to make sure I tighten these up all the way. That's the other thing, is if it's getting a little bit of air past, you know, the actual master, then you're gonna be doing this for a lot longer. So but just doing this before you put it in the car, I mean, it's gonna make a big difference. And just do it slowly. You see all those bubbles? If you do it fast, it also squirts fluid out here from the reservoir, so just take your time, do it slowly. Just gonna put a little bit of fluid. The fluid level went down because now we have fluid inside of the actual piston. So that's why it went down, because before all that was empty. And I'm just gonna keep doing this. If you see that front one, it's really not getting no more bubbles anymore. It's just one here on the back. And we're not getting that many anymore, so. You see these lines, I don't know if the camera can pick them up really good, but you know, that's where you can see all the bubbles. Now, there's nothing. So now we successfully, oh, there's one right here. I don't know if you saw that, but, and there's like one little one there. Pretty much successfully got all the air out. And like I said, just do it slowly. I like to hold it down and then let it go slowly. So now this is gonna be, once you put the lid, it doesn't leak out as fast because it creates kind of like a, you know, vacuum. But I'm gonna put little caps here. I have saved those pieces over the years. You know, different. You can buy, actually this kit is from Dorman that comes with a bunch of different adapters. But sometimes when you buy new master cylinders, they come with new ones, so, or you know, this little adapters on there. So I have a little plug. I'm gonna try to take the hose off. I might just pull this up, put the lid, and just leave those there, take them off once it's in the car. Either way, but you know, save those if you ever need to, you have them around. Just gonna do this a couple more times just to make sure. But that's pretty much bench bleeding the master cylinder. Once I get this, put it over there, I'll show you guys install them. Alrighty, got everything ready to go there. Got my wrenches ready. This lead master cylinder kit comes with this little, I don't know, like little adapter that goes in here. So don't forget to put that on there, because without that, the shaft from the booster is never gonna reach, and well, let's just say you're not gonna be able to have brakes at all. So I'm just gonna put this in here. I'm not gonna tighten it up all the way, just so I have a little bit of movement to put those lines. But I am gonna put these nuts right in there. These lines are loose here from the bottom too, so I do have a rag down here. I'm gonna do this one at a time. Because at this point, you know, the fluid that's here in this line is gonna come out. But also from the master cylinder, a little bit's gonna drip. Not a bunch, but a little bit. But it's not a big deal if it's only dripping out, as long as it doesn't run out of fluid inside. Because as long as the rod doesn't push and then pull where it's gonna pull air in, you're okay. So that's pretty much, that's just snug, that's not tight at all, but want to make sure I can get down here and do this bottom line. It's not too much room with the lines going right underneath here, but well, I guess there is, but okay, that's snug there. Just gonna pull this out of the way. And then I'm gonna do this other one. So once I finish this side, I'll go ahead and completely tighten up all the lines here. And once more, this one's gonna drip. So all the fluid from this little line's gonna come out. And a little bit off the master cylinder. I mean, you'll get some out of there, but really not too much. And then I just have to actually loosen this one here at the bottom. Looks like I didn't tighten it too much, but I guess I loosened it enough or tightened it enough where it makes it a little bit harder to get it in here. And really the main thing is I want to make sure it's loose so that I have a little bit of play up top here. So when I start tightening up this fitting, you know, I don't want to cross thread it or something. So I want to make sure it's loose enough where it's just gonna actually go in easy. So that's threading in all the way. Definitely if you have some line wrenches, you can use them for this. It's probably best thing to use. I do have some somewhere, but and I could tell that the fluid got to the bottom of the hose or line because it was leaking a little bit more down there. So make sure you wipe all the fluid off your fresh painted surfaces. Brake fluid will bubble up your paint. Ruined it for you. So usually with brake lines, once they seat on the flare, they really don't need to be that tight. Mostly once we bleed it, we're gonna make sure there's no drips. Usually when they leak, they leak. And then we're gonna, you know, push the actual pedal, get some pressure in there, and just double check that it's not leaking anywhere. So. Just gotta tighten up this bottom one. And then this other one on this side. I think I need a shorter wrench for this one, so stand by. There we go. Get more room with the shorter wrench. All right. So I think we're all set there. This is my other hose here. Alrighty, so once you're at this point, you know, wipe all your fittings and everything, because you're gonna have some little bit of residual brake fluid around from when you were installing everything. What I like to do is get some brake cleaner. Because brake cleaner is gonna pretty much clean all that old fluid out. Also, it evaporates, so I can pretty much keep an eye. If I do see like a fresh puddle of brake fluid, that I can inspect and see where it's coming from. So at this point, we can just tighten these up. Now eventually I'll probably have to bolt these lines to the back here, but that's pretty much where they're gonna run. They're not hitting anything, really not rubbing on anything, so gonna get a clean side of the rag here. Just let it be down here, and then that way if I see a wet spot, I can investigate. So that's pretty much that installed. What I'm gonna do now is race the car. That way I can get the tires off, and then I'm gonna start in the back. But I'm just gonna crack the bleeders and let gravity do its job. Once I get fluid at all four corners, then I'll have someone help me push the pedal a couple times, but gravity bleeding usually works really well. Just make sure you don't let your fluid run low here on the reservoir. So At this point, I'm sure it went down a little bit if we look at it. Not too much, but we'll keep that on there. We'll keep it filled and then finish bleeding it. So I'm gonna start doing that, race the car and bleed the whole system. Okay, so I went ahead and started gravity bleeding everything. This side, already both sides of the caliper full of fluid coming out. This side, same thing. Everything came right out here on the back. And this side, I just letting it gravity bleed there into a bottle. It's pretty much all set at this point. This side, one side of the caliper is pretty much done. On this Willwood, they have 4 bleeders. They have 4 bleeders because it depends how the caliper is. So you can mount this caliper on that side. So then you would use this one. So you always want to bleed on the top. So I'm doing that one, and then I'm just going to switch the hose to this side. And that's going to be all set for gravity bleed. Just, you know, I got to remember to make sure and add fluid. Don't let it go all the way down because that's going to introduce more air to the system. So this front reservoir is for the back brakes. This one is for the fronts. I'm not going to add nothing on that yet. So that is all done. Pretty much that's it for the brake install. That is completed. I'm just going to change this one here on the bottom. Cap it off. I may have, when I have someone come help me, push the pedal and then just a little bit, bleed it more, just a couple times. I would probably want to drive it around a little bit, use the brakes more, and then do a little bit of bleed. But really, from experience, gravity bleeding, you're pretty much good to go as it is. So that's pretty much. Brakes are all complete on the Challenger. As far as booster, master cylinder, I do have to connect the vacuum line to the engine, which is right back there. That's just a little piece of hose that I have to get. That's really the last piece to that, which I just have to put a piece of hose there. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next one.